Okay, hello guys, it's Jack here from Peach Guitars. Now, just as a quick aside, and I speak for most of us here, guitar players are pretty conservative by nature. But if you feel so inclined and you want something a little bit different, then this guitar is pretty much as different as you can get from pretty much everything else that we sell here at Peach Guitars. So namely, we're talking today about the Vigier Excalibur series of guitars, and this particular one is one of the Supra rock art models. So we started to see these a couple of years ago, and they're just some of the coolest electric guitars that we've probably ever seen. So Vigier Guitars is based out of France, and they've been building guitars there for the past couple of decades, and they've always they always strive to do something a little bit different from everybody else, which is demonstrated very aptly here in their artwork on this guitar. So let me talk a little bit about the finish of this first of all, and then I'll get onto some of the other specs that make up this Excalibur model. So the really cool thing with the rock art series of guitars is that every single one of them is completely unique and completely different to one another. So we've had probably half a dozen of these guitars here at the shop, and everyone's been completely unique, and they all look fantastic in their own way. So the finishing process is actually done by Patrice Vigier himself, the head honcho of Vigier Guitars. So that basically they're dipped in some kind of big vat of paint, I would imagine. But unlike some other guitars that have attempted this design process before, I would say that Vigier's processes come out completely on top. They are by far and away the most interesting to look at and the most consistent in terms of quality in their finishing in this process. So all the way around to the back and the sides, it's just a completely fantastic finish. Now you're either going to love or hate this kind of guitar, and it's certainly not going to be for everybody or indeed every situation. You probably wouldn't want to turn up and do a wedding gig with this kind of guitar, but if you're on a big stage and you want to rock out, this guitar is perfect for that. So all the finishes are, as I said, completely unique, and you can check out peachguitars.com and see the full stock of these guitars that we've got at the moment. But if you like this particular one, or you like any of the particular finishes, grab it, because you will never find another one like it, of course. So that's what sets the rock art series apart. Really, really cool finish, but the rest of the guitar's construction is just as impressive. So let me start at the headstock end. Now, considering that they do something different every time, like I said before, their necks are completely different to the rest of the competition. So there's no truss rod in these necks. You still get the skunk rosewood stripe on the back, but there's no truss rod in there. So the way they compensate to make the necks nice and stable is they use their patented kind of 1090 system, they call it, which means that the neck is made up of 10% carbon and 90% maple, which in this case is a really nice flamey maple. So it's a really, really stable and solid neck. You never have to adjust anything. Of course, there's nothing to adjust, so it just kind of naturally settles into any climate that you take the guitar into. You've got their oversized locking tuners, which, as you can probably see in this shot, they're absolutely huge, really easy to grab a hold of, and once they're set in place, they're not going to go anywhere. This guitar also has a Teflon nut and a really, really cool little kind of string dampener behind the nut there. So as you're probably inclined to do with a guitar of this nature, when you're playing pretty fast and you don't want the other strings to muddle up your progress, this does actually act pretty effectively to dampen and mute some of the unused, unwanted string noise. Onto the neck profile, it's a really, really slim kind of D-shaped neck. Now they've got quite an interesting radius. It's something like an 11.81 inch radius, so it's veering into kind of compound territory, but it's really, really flat neck, really comfortable, and as I said before, really easy to play quickly on. You've also got a 0 fret on this guitar, so for anyone who's unsure on what that actually does, it was kind of quite commonplace with old Gretsch guitars, and the main reason for its implementation is so that you get a more consistent kind of tone going from the open string tones to the fretted notes. So that way the guitar sounds a little bit more balanced overall, and you don't get that kind of disparity in the higher frequencies when you're playing open strings as opposed to fretted strings. So 24 fret design on this guitar as well. The frets are kind of, they're not huge, they call them just a medium fret. So again, it's very comfortable to chord with, and also to play very fast lines. And you've got 24 frets with really easy access up at the top end too. So moving down to the body, you've got your standard volume and tone configuration, and you've got a 5-way blade switch. Now the way that they route their pickups and the way they're configured is actually quite interesting, I think, and quite novel, and actually very effective in getting a wider variety of tones from the guitar. So you have your standard position 1, which is your bridge humbucker, which you'll have heard at the opening of the video there. Opposite end is position 5, which is the neck humbucker. And then what's interesting about all the 3 middle positions is they're all split. So in the case of like standard kind of Strat wiring, you get in position 2, moving up from the bridge humbucker, you get your bridge and middle pickups in split coil mode. Then you get bridge and neck in split coil mode. And then lastly you get middle and neck in split coil mode. But what's interesting is just how low that middle pickup is. I don't know if you can see in this shot. But the reason they do that is it's a really high output middle pickup, which is a DiMarzio FS1 in this particular case. Very high output single coil pickup, and that means that they can get it really low, kind of sunken into the body, so that it doesn't get in the way when you want to pick there, because some players do find that having a middle single coil pickup is great for the versatility of tones, but it does get in the way of playing. This doesn't have that problem whatsoever. So you'll have heard at the beginning there just how easy it was to jump from a really searing high gain tone to a clean tone, and there's no kind of discrepancy with tones coming from the guitar in terms of the output. So I'm just going to run you through each of the pickup tones in each of the positions on the high gain sound, and I'm going to do the same thing with clean too. So let's go to the gain sound. I'm going to turn off that mega delay that I was using in the intros just so you can hear it a little bit more clearly. Okay, so let me just jump to the clean channel and do exactly the same kind of thing, take you through all the pickup configurations. Okay, so it's a really useful variety of tones, but what's great about having that middle pickup really sunken down, but still being quite high output, is it does drastically change the tone when you jump from, say, your neck humbucker to the position right next to it. You get quite a little bit of drop in output, which is great if you've got a gain sound and you want to clean up without having to change the gain structure or channel on your amp or anything like that. Let me just demonstrate that. So if I go from the bridge pickup and then jump to the middle position, which is both pickups split, you'll notice that I'm able to clean up on the guitar and it's still really nice and clean and clear even with such a high gain sound. Okay, so yeah, nice bit of variety just coming from the guitar. The other thing that I really like about the tone of these guitars is just how smooth they are overall. Never do you get a harsh tone at all coming from any one of the pickup configurations that you've got on this guitar. So that's really nice. So in this particular Supra model, it comes loaded with DiMarzio pickups. So as I mentioned before, that middle pickup is an FS1, and then in the bridge you have a tone zone and you have a PAF Pro in the neck. So that was kind of a staple of most of HSH style guitar configurations way back, way before Vigier were even a company. So this is a really tried and true, proven, reliable pickup configuration to give you a bunch of variety in your tonal options. There is also the Supra A model, which is Supra with an extra A on the end, available from Vigier, which comes with their kind of proprietary Amber branded pickups. So those pickups are actually designed specifically for the Vigier models, and they kind of give you a little bit of different flavour. Though personally, I'm a big fan of DiMarzio pickups in guitars like this. Like I said, they really give you that smoothed out but still really refined characteristic that we're probably all looking for when you want to go to a guitar like this. One of my very favourite features that Vigier implements into all their guitars is what I would call the anti-singer device. So when you're playing on stage and you're rocking out and you don't want your singer to interfere with your volume levels, this cable will not come out of this guitar no matter how hard you pull it, and that's because they've included this fantastic kind of locking Neutrik jack in the guitar that you have to push this little button to be able to release the cable. So that's a really handy little trick to have on stage. So lastly, this is an alder wood body, so that's kind of fairly standard in the guitar industry, but again, combined with the other components that go into the build quality of these guitars, it just makes something that's a little bit different, and it's something you're either going to really like or you're not going to like at all. But I would say, as controversial as they can be, there's no denying the fact that what these guitars intend to do, which is to give you a really smooth, contemporary kind of tone, but still with a bunch of variety, they absolutely nail that 100%, and there's nothing else out there, certainly nothing that we stock here at Peach, that will give you that same level of variety. So let me just play to you a few more tones. I'm going to go to channel 2 on the amp. I'm plugged into the Mesa Boogie Triple Crown 50 today, by the way, to give you kind of maximum variety of tones. So channel 2 is a little bit cleaner, just a bit of a crunch tone. And I'm going to show you just how dynamic this guitar can be just by changing the volume and the pickup switch. Okay, so lastly, a quick word on tuning stability. I already mentioned the locking tuners and the Teflon nut. This is Vigier's own tremolo system. It's one of the smoothest that I've ever played. It stays in tune absolutely fantastically, and the action that you get on a tremolo like this enables you to either be really gentle with it, so for example with a cleaner tone you can really get that kind of classic Fendery kind of fluttery tone. Or equally, you can get pretty nutty. Okay, so guys, I've probably bored you with all the specs of these guitars. The best thing you can do is to come down to the store and try them out for yourself. As I said before, they're really something that you'll either really vibe with or not, but hopefully you can at least appreciate the level of craftsmanship that goes into an instrument like this. There's really nothing else like it. The guys at Vigier are making some of the best guitars on the planet at the moment, and the testament to that is some of the great artists that they have on their roster. And if you haven't already seen it, you can go back a few months and check out the video that we shot with Bumblefoot when he came in store to do a clinic, and he said some really impressive words about Vigier guitars and his personal connection with them, and just how accommodating they were to him being such a monstrous player that he is, and his technical requirements, and just how far they went to accommodate those lengths that he needed to go to for his own personal guitars. So that kind of craftsmanship really reflects even in their standard models, but there's nothing standard about these rock art guitars. So if you're interested and you want to find out even more, you can follow the link down in the description box below to peachguitars.com and find out all the info you want to know on these rock art series of Excalibur guitars and just Vigier guitars in general. So that's it guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give us a like and comment down below with your thoughts as always. Remember to hit that subscribe button too, and please tap the bell icon right next to it, which will notify you of all our future video uploads. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks so much for watching as always. Take care and I'll see you next time. Cheers.